Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. In the first place, let me apologize because my name is Mikhail Smirnov, and Mr. Makhov had to leave in a much hurried way, so I had to replace him. Let me thank the organizers for the excellent organization and at the same time for the possibility of illustrating what we are doing and to share with you how the large businesses in Russia participate to innovation within the field of innovation and what the relationship with the startups. So today I am going to deal with these two aspects that are going back to the MZ group, and the OMZ group sees the participation of more than 20 large companies. And I'm talking of leader companies that work in the nuclear sector, the petrochemical sector, in the mining sector, or in the sector of production for machines aimed at metal processing. The very center of the group is in Moscow, and especially in the Czech Republic, where we have another company which manufactures equipment for nuclear plants. When talking with the metal mechanics, I just wanted to say that this process is not new. It started off when we first had some products that were produced with introduction production, and this is what allows us to meet the needs of the clients and to make it so that the approach is going to be asked by the market. It is no secret if I happen to say that soon the sector will be met by a remarkable set of difficulties. Now the product has been under, and I'd like to say that in some 60% it accounts for almost nothing. From this point of view, if we consider, as I was saying, the technical solutions that are integrated, we see that by and large they represent by a single planning solution. In Russia, the situation was totally different instead. The foreign companies were present in the market, but unfortunately they leave us not much maneuvering room and not much space to look at the Russian projects, and this is the reason why we had to do a huge work so as to develop skills that were very much in line with the assumption of the project. 2 years later, we could achieve the mentioned results, and today what's been shown onto the wall of the companies, something which is very remarkable. In recent years, in the management of the projects, we've seen large projects, such as the one of a processing plant, a gas processing plant in the city of Gasnagorsk. Projects that allow for air treatment, and also another project in Slovakia has been launched in MAKHOV, where we are building 2 nuclear plants. Now, let me go back to the Coca-Cola and jeans aspect. The second aspect of our metal mechanic companies has got to do with the planning and designing of new products. Products that stem out of an idea something that stems out from the recommendations and needs of the client, and that's one variant. The second variant is the one that we have to deal on a daily basis with the needs of the clients, whilst in the first case these ideas come from outside. But where do they come from? That's interesting. So proposals that were brought forward by partners in Russia, but also ideas that come from abroad. So some examples of what we could do in the field of the OMZ, in the field of innovative fields. There have been new unprecedented things, and in some cases the products were not existing in any other place. But also we're referring to joint ventures oriented towards productions that do not exist, but the ones abroad become very much successful. On the slide you can see an example of the production in the helium sector. This is a sector which is very specific because the entire technology, starting from the production down to the liquefying of the product, we know that the technology has been successfully adopted by the company, because it also then in the end allows you to offer some finished products and technologies which can only be available in the case of a number of companies worldwide. We could talk about fiber membranes, highly efficient membranes for the distillation of helium. Then there are other partners that have already been working abroad. And in this case, our partners could sort of speed up the penetration of this market. And on our side, we could extend the possibilities from the engineering point of view. This is mostly the case of activities that allow for the offshore production, and I'm referring to products such as valves, some cryogenic applications and compressors. In particular, we are looking at the possibilities to produce something together with General Electric. And until a given moment, Russia did not exist. This has got to do with the liquefied gas. In Russia, there are some large plants of GNL. This is plants from Conoco and Philips PCI. But we've had some technologies, we adopted them, and we carried them in small ships, container ships, and these plants have to generate up to 3 tons on a yearly basis. And then there are 20 plants of the same site which were provided to other partners, and we manufacture and suggest not only the liquefaction plant but also the one dealing with the transportation means. Then there is something special to say with respect to LNG plants. LNG plants that have average capacity or medium capacity, because the general average productivity plants are much closer than the current ones. Sometimes they are available, but in very few cases. So we could sort of improve our own technology, which was also the technology very important from that point onwards. We then produced that were considering plants, different plants, and there is one plant worth 1 million tons and another plant which is worth 600,000 loans. This was a mixed refrigerant flow line, and it's been implemented in collaboration with Air Liquide from France. Now, all of these projects were tested on the basis of our own experience, and the ones that were proposed by the foreign partners as well. And in each context, that's interesting to know, it is always possible to find some mutually interesting modes so as to start the partnerships. So much so that our partners could be wrong in sort of allowing them to have, through our company, a productive base with some production costs that are very limited. The devaluation of the ruble has extended the corporate presence. And should we always remember you that before the devaluation, we already had of the costs, and the Western companies and the companies of the Asian Southeast had achieved these results. You can then imagine that the reserves of optimization still exist, specifically in the case of Russian companies who could successfully carry out the modernization before having the ruble fall. And ours is one of any such companies.